Emory Tate defeats the third highest rated chess player of all time. Now the game I'm about to show you is really interesting and Tate finds an amazing tactic at the end. Now I know you're thinking, who on earth is this mystery number 3 rated player in the world? Well, it is Fabiano Caruana. However, Emory Tate is playing the 11-year-old version of Fabiano Caruana, so Emory Tate doesn't actually realize he's playing a future world chess champion contender and a player to have one of the highest ratings of all time. So a bit of context, this was played in the New York Masters in 2003, and Fabiano Caruana at the time of this game was rated 2163, so not quite 2844, but you know, he's getting there. So Fabi opens with e4, and till this day he mainly plays e4. As you can see, he's always stayed true to the e4 opening. Tate now responds with c5. It's interesting, I think this is the first game on the channel where I've showed a video with Tate playing the Sicilian, so we're going to see how Tate goes about playing the Sicilian. A knight f3 is played, and now Tate actually opts for e6, the French variation. And after e6, what's very popular at the top level would be something like d4, and after takes, going for a6, what is not quite the knight off variation because there's no knight on f6, and the pawn structure is a bit different because the pawn would be on d6, so it looks a bit like the knight off, but this is actually called the Khan variation. So after a move like knight c3, a move like queen c7 would be very popular. GM Eric Hansen, I know, likes to play this a lot, so that's what could be played. However, d4 is not actually played here, and c3 is played, so Fabiano Caruana actually transposes into an Alapin. Now Emory Tate actually plays the most accurate and the most commonly played move, what's d5, fighting for the center straight away. E5 was played. Fabi strikes in the center with d4, and now Emory Tate actually plays a slightly less popular move in this position. Normal moves in this position would be like knight f6, knight c6, they would be a bit more popular, even a6. However, Emory actually plays quite a committal move, c4. So already Tate is clamping down on the queen side with this c4 push. Fabi now goes bishop e2, trying to develop. He obviously can't go to d3, so e2 is kind of the most logical square of development. Tate here continues with bishop d6, getting his bishop out on this nice diagonal. Fabiano actually castles here, and after castles, Tate plays a6. A6 is still one of the most popular moves in this position. Maybe some expansions might be coming. So after a6, Fabiano Caruana actually goes knight e5, putting his knight in the center, and this has actually never been reached again. So now Tate continues with knight e7. He didn't want to develop his knight to f6, maybe he wanted to develop to e7, so he's got different squares he can go to. And Fabi here continues with bishop f3, putting pressure on this pawn. Notice how this pawn is backwards, not quite isolated yet, but it's backwards, so it could become a weakness, so Emory needs to make sure that it's well protected. Emory here goes knight c6, maybe threatening to actually take 2 times. For that reason, Fabi goes rook e1, defending the knight. Tate takes this opportunity to castle now, as he needs to get his king to safety. And now Fabiano actually goes b3, trying to attack this pawn, as this pawn is controlling some nice squares, so it makes sense. Tate gladly accepts this trade, and now in this position, Emory Tate goes bishop e6, defending his central pawn, as it's now isolated. Now bishop g5 is played, pinning this queen. This queen can no longer really move because the queen would be lost. So for that reason, Emory Tate unpins and moves his queen onto a very nice file. Fabi decides to exchange. Emory takes back with the knight, and now a queen d2 is played. After queen d2, Emory plays rook c8. Let's look. Emory's got a weakness here, so you want to try target your opponent's weaknesses. That's a good way to go about any really position. So Emory's putting his pieces on this line, and also notice how his knight can't really develop because this pawn just falls. So this knight right now is kind of pinned to the defense of this. So Emory already with the black pieces already has quite a good position. H3 is played because say this knight wanted to move anywhere, the problem would be actually that this h2 pawn moves. If Fabi wanted to move this knight, his pawn would lose, so it kind of pins this knight, kind of ties it down to this square. So h3 is a nice move, kind of just alleviating the pressure along this file. And now Emory simply goes knight g6, trying to exchange the strong knight. It's always not pleasant having your opponent's knight on e5 when you've got the black pieces. I get this a lot in the Caro-Kann, so it's really annoying. And actually, speaking of the Caro-Kann, I've actually been doing lots of study recently, and I'm actually currently filming a video where I've been studying chess for 3 hours for 1 week, and I'm going to see the results. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see that. And I did actually spend 3 hours the other day studying the Caro-Kann. My brain's still recovering from it. Hg6 is played. Fabi actually decides to exchange here, not taking with this pawn because then the bishop hangs. Fabi takes with this, and also as a rule, when you take, you want to try take towards towards the center. So Emory just following basic principles. In this position, Fabio Caruana unfortunately plays queen g5. I'm gonna let you pause the video, find out the reason why this is a horrible blunder, and find the way that Emory instantly punished this careless mistake. So if you did pause the video, the move is bishop f4. This is quite unfortunate. Fabi played queen g5. I think he was trying to get his queen off a square so he could develop his knight. Because in this position already, Emory's got the bishop pair. He's got one weakness here. But these two pawns could be vulnerable with like a move like queen b6 hitting them maybe. This knight's kind of tied down to the defense of this pawn, so it's hard to develop it. So black's got more mobility, but queen g4, I think Fabi was trying to simply win this pawn, kind of kill two birds with one stone, but unfortunately it blunders to a move bishop f4. Now after this, the queen can't really go anywhere along here because it falls, and if it goes here, the bishop can take, which means its only real square would be h4, but now we have g5. Now the bishop can't go anywhere here, so the only move for it to not to fall straight away would be h5. But now these lovely doubled pawns coming in handy, we can actually go g6 now. So now the only square this can go to is g6, and after g4. And I'd be very impressed if you found this whole thing, because it could be fairly hard to find. Fabiano Caruana resigned because the problem is this bishop is going to fall. This queen will have to go back here. However, it's going to have absolutely no squares. And say this is taken, then after some move like king g7, this queen's getting trapped, and we're up a bishop, and this position absolutely crushing. Fabi just resigned here. I'm sure if Fabiano Caruana was to play Emory at his peak rating, Emory would definitely have a harder time trying to win the game. Anyway, that's the end of the video. If you want to get better at chess and you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, as would be much appreciated. Also, thank you for your time and attention. I really appreciate it, and have a good rest of your day.